Hi everybody, Coach Jorge Capistani here with the Hope College Tennis Academy, and this is video number 2 in a series of 5 videos about what we do exactly at the Hope College Summer Tennis Academy. So in our first video we featured what we do on Mondays, which was a baseline theme. And in that video at the end I talked to you about Tuesdays, and that's what we're going to cover today. Tuesdays at the Academy really has almost 2 themes. You can see we allow 2 things to go on. So the first part of what we do on Tuesdays is the Pick Your Practice session. And I'll tell you a little bit about what that looks like in a minute. And then the second area, the latter half of the morning session when we do our on-court drilling, is going to have a net play theme. So let's start out with the first thing we do. The Pick Your Practice is something that we started many years ago. The very first academy I ever started was in 2003 in Grand Rapids, and it sold out and it was a really big success, and no one had ever done anything like that, and it was really, took the tennis community by storm, and it was a big buzz around town, this new academy. Well, we had everything scripted down to the minute, like we do in our current academy. Literally all 25 hours of the kids being here is scripted down in a detailed lesson plan, literally to the minute. So one of the things that we learned in the first academy was that even though we had it so scripted, that it actually backfired in a sense, because as people would come to us where they all had their own unique individual needs. Maybe one player had to work on their backhand a lot, another player came and maybe the serve was sick and needed some help, and another player had no confidence, in their ground strokes or whatever it might be. Our lesson plan was so structured that it never allowed any time for the person to customize what they needed. So that was something that we learned from that first academy back in 2003. So Pick Your Practice is designed to do exactly that. So every Tuesday morning, and we warn the players this on Mondays, when they get to the academy, they're going to be able to pick 3 areas that they can take at least an hour, maybe an hour and 15 minutes, and get special attention just on what they want to work on. And here's the 3 areas that they can pick from. Number 1 is they can pick serve. And if they pick the serve, they're going to go with just all those kids that want to work on serve. Maybe it's 20 kids or 10 kids, whatever. And we'll put some pros over there, and there's going to be a distinct hour and 15 minutes just dedicated to the serve. Now this whole Pick Your Practice thing is very technical in nature. You're not rotating up and down the courts. It's just a lot of technical help. We do some videotaping, but that's just one of the things they can do, the serve. The second option they can choose from is net play. So if someone's feeling like they're not very good at the net, or they're having troubles with their volleys or their overheads, then they can choose that as their option, and they're going to have another hour and 15 where they're going to get special attention and technical help and good advice on just the net theme. And then the third option you can do is ground strokes. And typically, if the group that picks ground strokes, we send them indoors where we have multiple ball machines and a couple of different cameras, and we will film them. And it's pretty cool because what happens is we want the kids to see themselves. One of the reasons we film and do some video analysis, if you will, at the academy is because tennis players generally don't know what they look like. Think about it. For every shot that I'm hitting, if I'm hitting a forehand, I really don't know what my strokes look like, how big my backswing is or maybe isn't, if my rack is going back too far or too low or too high, because I always have to be looking at the incoming ball. So that's one of the problems. People, a good example the other day, I was telling this player not to take on their forehand volley, not to take it back too far, and they were certain that they weren't taking it back. And it wasn't until I videotaped them and I could freeze it right there that they went, wow, I never knew, because they really can't know. They have to be looking at that ball. So those are the 3 things we do at Pick Your Practice. You can see a little bit of what we do. I'm going to show you just as an example of what some of the stuff is that the people that pick the serve, if they want to do that, you can see a little bit of the footage here that they will see, and we can mark it up on the TV, and they can see exactly what to do, and they actually hear our own instructions. So let's kind of take a look at what Coach's Eye, this app that we use, specifically when it addresses the serve.
All right, everybody, we're going to show you the 9 checkpoints here. We're going to use Mika as our example guinea pig. And the first one is the rituals. And what you'll see is we want the weight in the front foot. You can see Mika's bouncing the ball right there. So she's doing her rituals. The ball's right there. And most of her weight is on the front foot. So we do a pass there. Now part 2 is the weight transfer. You'll see that the weight goes back, and you can see it's all on the back foot now. And the second part of this is the racket still has to be in front. That's proper. You don't want your racket back at that time. So that's good. Now we go to part 3, which is the release. It should be roughly eye level. And you can see that right there is the release point. So that's a good thing. You also notice in Amika's case, she has a staggered arm scenario. That's fine. That's called shoulder stacking. Now we're going to go to checkpoint number 4, and we find that this is where most people mess up. You want to have a part of your body, particularly the hips or the knees, start to go past the baseline here. The reason we shoot from down the line here, you can see Mika's filling up that line very nicely. She's very much like a bow and arrow. There's a lot of energy stored in her body there. Her shoulders are still stacked like this, and that's good. So that's a good pass on Mika's load. And you notice just one more point, her racket is still up, and that's good at that point. Now it's going to be the launch. And this is what your racket does behind your head. You want to actually have your racket go forward on edge, which means you're going to, almost like you're going to hit it with the edge of your racket. So if you're doing that properly from the side view, we should see pretty much all the strings, and that's what we're doing here. So she's a pass on her launch. The next checkpoint is number 6, and that's the point of contact. You can see that Mika's pretty much fully extended. She's up in the air. Her point of contact is very high, so that's all good. We pass her on that. This next one is really important. A lot of people get this wrong. Just in one frame later, we want to see the other side of Mika's racket. So right there you can see, especially if you look closely, you can see her fingernails. And that's good. That means she's got her thumb down, and that's a huge thing that you need to have when you serve. And then the next point you're going to do is the landing. You see Mika lands well inside the baseline. Her foot is right there, and that's good. And of course, because she's a good athlete, she swung hard, she's bending at the waist, and when that happens, you automatically get this position, which we call the the counterbalance. So those are the 9 checkpoints, and that's what it looks like here, and she's done pretty much all of them correctly.
So you can see that there's a lot of cool stuff going on. It's really a chance to diagnose the problem. And here's the reality when it comes to Tuesday morning. We want people to never be able to walk away from our academy and say that they didn't get help on their specific needs. We have hundreds and hundreds of kids that come every summer, and they all have their own individual needs. And although we really want to be organized and have a lesson plan that's detailed, it's important to have each kid have a chance to work on his specific needs. And additionally, just so that you parents know, we not only do that on Tuesday morning during the academy hours, but also on Tuesday and Wednesday after the academy. We end at 3:30. From 3:30 to 4, there's 2 more times. It's totally free, and we call those extra help sessions. And typically, we can have as maybe 5 kids stay, sometimes 15 kids stay, and that's a second and a third time that they can come and get some extra help just on there. It's not a private lesson. It's probably going to be 3 or 4 kids in a pro. But they can ask questions and maybe get videotaped again and really get some more repetition on their specific needs. So no one should ever leave the academy feeling like they didn't get any help on their specific problem area. Now that's just part 1 of what we do on Tuesdays. Part 2 is now we start our drills. And the drill that we're going to do, or the theme we're going to have for drilling this day, is net play. So we know that most players play from the baseline, and that's fine. But what we don't want to have is someone's baseline skill level gets so high and their net play be so lagging that there's this big discrepancy, because then you're susceptible to tactics. People might start playing you to this side. So we do a lot of stuff at the academy when it comes to playing or getting players ready for their net play. I'm going to show you one drill here that we like especially. It's called jerk feed. And jerk feed is a drill that I invented several years ago. And here's the reason we invented it. So I'll show you a little bit on the board. So you can see this is a group drill. We're going to have 2 players here up at the service line. They're the champions. And then there'll be 2 or 3 players over here. Sometimes a coach might play in. And we're the challengers. So this is a 2-ball drill. And the whole idea is the feeder, remember these are the champions over here. These guys are champs. And we're the challengers. If we beat this team 2 points in a row, actually the second point, we get to go over. So here's how it would go. This player feeds the ball any way they want. They can feed a nasty lob. They can feed it right down here at their toe. They can try to hit a winner. The whole point is your jerk feed is just that. You're actually feeding like a jerk. You're supposed to hit a very, very nasty feed. As a matter of fact, often we're having to stop the drill and remind the players that they're not feeding nasty enough. So why would we do that? The reason is because too many players, when they practice, and as a coach, I've been guilty of this myself, is I have them come up to the net. So I got player A, he comes in, he says, listen, my net game's no good, I want to improve my net game. So I might get him to the net and I feed him all these balls and I look at his technique and stuff and I go, oh, it looks pretty good. So I send him off and there he goes back to competition and then it falls apart. And then he comes back for another lesson and we fix it and then he goes back to competition and it falls apart. And there's this crazy, not fun cycle. So what happens is you can't just practice the easy ball, the fun ball, which is what a lot of people do. So we do a lot of realistic balls, and that's the whole point of jerk feed is nothing's going to be nice. So jerk feed, you play the first point, and no matter who wins it, you play the second point. And whoever wins that second point, that's the money ball. So it's really a little bit of pressure. If this challenger wins the second point, he becomes the new champion, and this guy comes over here to the challenger's side. If he were to have lost, he just stays here and he can go either way. So these champions stay on their own half. The challengers can go any way they want. It's just two separate games going on. So there's one game over here and another separate game over there. So we're just utilizing two halves of the court. And we actually have this drill a little bit on video. So I want to have you take a look of how we help the kids with this game called jerk feed. Okay, so here we are on the court. We're going to let you take a peek at jerk feed. Ready, players? Go ahead and play and go. So the two players on my side are the champions. The challengers play 2 points no matter what, and only the second ball is the money ball. So if the second ball, the challenger wins, then they get to come over. That happened both places. All right, good. So the feed is super important in this game, and we'll spend a good amount of time telling the players what that is. We want a feed to be literally as nasty and jerkish as possible. If you can hit a complete winner on your feed, then that's fine. The whole point of this game is to get away from this kind of fake practice and get in a false sense of your true volley skills, because you think, well, I'm really good at the net, and it's because you're getting easy feeds. All right, so these are tough. Good plan. Good. All right, good. We'll keep we'll do this with a lot of people, obviously. We'll keep score. Every point they win is worth 1. You want to be on this side because you get to play more frequently. And then we'll rotate up and down the courts. That's it. So I just wanted you to see a glimpse of that type of feed and what we're doing here. I don't want to have really easy shots for the net guys. I think that's nearly worthless. Okay, let's go to about a few more seconds, guys, and I'm going to make a little comment at the end. Okay, keep playing, keep playing. Okay, 4 more seconds. I'm going to have Donut and Matt up at the net. Okay, timeout. So good. So here's what we're after. You saw that because of the type of the feed, that's the whole point, that we're not getting this volley here. This volley here is the equivalent of an NBA player doing layups. They're beyond that. They don't need that kind of practice. This is not the issue for most junior players when they get a volley up here. What is an issue is when they're back here, or when it's low, or when it's really fast or out of the strike zone. So laying them in there like a traditional feed doesn't work. So that's why jerk feed is so effective. Okay, so that gives you a little bit idea of what Tuesday's all about at the Academy. In the afternoon on Tuesdays, we kind of make sure that we do a lot of off-court stuff. So we do 1 hour of match play, and the other hour is going to be either tennis-specific strength training or some kind of tennis-specific agility. We have a lot of good stuff with that. On Monday afternoon, we talked about that in the previous video. It's all match play. We dedicate Monday and Wednesday to 2 hours of match play in the afternoon. So the next video you're going to see in this series is going to be Wednesdays. And on Wednesdays, we have a special theme. We call it Sabotage Day or Specialty Shots. So hold on. Yeah, messed up. So the next video you're going to see in this series is about what we do on Wednesdays. And Wednesday's theme at the Hope College Tennis Academy is specialty shots, or we can also call those sabotage shots. So it's what to do when your player or your opponent is playing up here and you're playing down here. You're behind. It's evident you're not going to win this match unless something changes. Most players spend too much time trying to raise their level. And Wednesday we do all kinds of things to show people how they can lower the level of their opponent. So look for that in the next video.